Okay, humour me. I am going through my 9 tips on calf rearing. I may not add in 9, trying to look at it a different way. So, what are the 9 things I think drive calf health? First of all, let's talk about colostrum. Okay, obvious one, colostrum. But if we think about colostrum, what are the factors we think about? So, think about the colostrum inside in the bag. Art is not my strong point. This is calving time here, okay? So, a couple of things you want to think about from colostrum point of view is feeding the cow pre-calving. Why? Because colostrum has twice the fat and protein of normal milk. That means that feeding the cow can impact quality. So that's really important. We know when we want quantity, we talk about 10% of body weight. That's 3 to 4 liters. That's important. We need to get it in quickly. Quickly is another thing. Why? Because if we look at the gut like a tube, the gut's quite porous at the start and then it closes down. It's open and then it closes down over time. So, and then the quantity, quickly, quality. So quality we can test on farm as well. That can be tested. We can also test the calves between day 1 and day 7 with a blood test. Okay, but my tip on colostrum is, people have heard this before and they'll say boring, heard it all before. But what I think is interesting with colostrum is hygiene. Okay, hygiene on harvesting. Why? Remember I said that it's got twice the fat and protein of normal milk? Well, hygiene and harvesting becomes really important because E. coli is a bug I'm doing a lot of work with at the moment, and we don't want it in there. E. coli loves the fat and protein of normal milk, of colostrum. It can proliferate. Remember, the gut is open, so that's my main tip on colostrum. And the other thing is, when we think about the gut microbiome, remember the colostrum's got prebiotics in it. It's priming the genetics of the young calf and the future of the young calf, priming the young gut. So colostrum is, look, if it was a product, it would sell all around it. It's nature's gift. Use it wisely. They're my tips on colostrum. Okay, that's colostrum. Feeding is number 2. Let's talk about feeding the calf and why that's so important. Okay, number 2 is feeding. Okay, again, I could spend a lot of time. This is like rapid fire feeding. What do you think? What have I learned? Well, I'm into biological optimization. What the hell is that? Biological optimization, I can't even spell it. Optimization is basically, what does a calf want? What will it drink? It could drink 10 to 14 litres a day if it wanted to. Well, we're only going to give it 4 litres a day. That was a long time ago. But look at that gap between these two, and that's really important. That's a stress gap. So I'm a fan of more milk and whole milk where possible. Okay, and this is where precision microbes comes in really interesting when you're feeding more milk. So I'm not just pitching and selling microbes. Any farmer I've put in more milk or whole milk, I've often solved problems. But milk replacer is obviously something that we really have to use and need to use on certain farms, especially with automatic feeders. So there's nothing wrong with milk replacers once they're high quality. That is the key thing. So my tips on milk is that it plays a huge important role in nutrition, and nutrition is involved in immunity, performance, production, blah, 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 etc., etc. Okay, so quality and feeding the right amount. Temperature, does that matter? It can if it's cold. Consistency is key, so timing is key. The other thing that's really important that I think when we're using particularly milk replacers is water quality and obviously hygiene. Now I could have said this in the colostrum video as well, and I should have said it, that milk leaves a slimy layer. So inside my bucket, what a bucket, it can leave a slimy layer that can be ideal for bacterial overgrowth. When we're looking at cleaning equipment, we need to use detergents and disinfectants, and this is really important when we look at automated feeders. Okay, automated feeders. Okay, so consistency is the key thing with feeding. I think more milk, be it milk replacer, quality. Get advice on the quality of your milk replacer, and when you are going with more feeding, this is where microbes is a game changer. So this is number 2, is feeding. Get feeding right and colostrum right, and you're a long way there. They're really high priority. Moving on to number 3. Okay, number 3 is hygiene. Something that's really important, really simple, can be overcomplicated, but drives a lot of infectious diseases. So it's always a balance with calf rearing between immunity and infection pressure. We're going to drive up immunity and drive down infection pressure. Here we go. Okay, number 3 is hygiene, of course. Now, remember, I'm going to miss things. You're going to say, oh, you missed this, you missed that. This is trying to speed top 8 tips on calf health. So hygiene. If we think about milk inside in buckets and containers, remember I mentioned that slimy layer? Hygiene becomes critical. So the 2 things I look at hygiene with, particularly in calves, is consistency and everybody time. So time, how do you make it easy? So if I'm looking at washing equipment, can I set up a washing equipment, washing station? Have I got the necessary brush, pressure on water, and the right detergents and disinfectants? So there's a difference here, even if you get this point, when we're dealing with milk and colostrum. There's a difference between a detergent and disinfectant, and here's a little tip, TIP tip. Washing up liquid is a fantastic detergent for cleaning, and Fairy liquid is hard to beat. Liquid is hard to beat. No affiliations with Fairy liquid. Okay, so consistency, hygiene. I think when you're looking at feeding equipment with automatic calf feeders, this becomes really important when we look at lines and washing, and particularly with water quality. Feeding equipment, you really need to be doing it. The farms I see with success are doing it twice a day after every feed, so they're doing it at least once a day, feeding equipment. Okay. Hygiene probably includes calving pens and navels, and straw is, if you can buy it this year, is actually, to me, part of the hygiene story. Navels, yeah, it's an entry point, it's a tube going in, so you want to wash that navel. And there, just look, that's quick and easy. My thing with hygiene is make it easy and consistency in time. So frequency, and know the difference between a detergent and disinfectant. And I think one area that we have to get better is colostrum hygiene. Okay, colostrum has got twice the fat and protein of normal milk. That means that it is an E. coli or harmful bugs playground for disease. So colostrum, really, when we're feeding any colostrum harvesting equipment, needs the full MO, if MO even makes sense, on detergent disinfectants. Hygiene is critical to get right, so we've got colostrum feeding, hygiene. Next. Okay, next is calf comfort. What does that even mean? Let's take a look. Okay, so number 4, as I said, is calf comfort. What's this mean? So biological optimization is my little thing that I talk about, where this is what a calf wants, and I can't still spell it. I'll spell it next time. So basically, what does the calf want? I call this a calf-centered approach, and it really works. And this is not some kind of wrap them up in cotton wool, they're production animals. But if you get the biological needs of the calf right, this becomes really interesting. The big one in Ireland, UK, I would say, is cold. So under 14, 15 degrees in the first 2 to 3 weeks, young calves, they get cold quite easily. They're thermoneutral zone, we call it. But as they get older, that's probably a bit of an issue. So what happens when you get cold calves? Well, metabolism has to speed up and something has to suffer. It's usually immunity and performance. Okay, so we just don't want cold calves. In different parts of the world, then heat stress is another huge one. Okay, so when we look at calf comfort, this is really what I'm talking about. Obviously, optimizing lying conditions for the calf as well. This straw that might be very difficult to get this year. We might have to look at alternative straw. A comfortable, dry, warm lie. Dry is really important. I would add in, I'm going to cover drainage, another one. So calf comfort is basically giving the calf what it wants. I'd probably add in it here is how we handle the calf. Do not dismiss stress, because stress does one thing, and one thing really well. It used to be a marker. Stress used to be a very useful thing when we were in the jungle, all of us, but not anymore. Stress decreases immunity. Okay, it shuts down and transfer energy to places to flight or fight, but over chronic stress reduces immunity. And handling how we work calves, how we move calves, transport, all that sort of things, they all factor into this calf comfort piece. And again, I'm trying to fly through this for fun, just from a communication point of view. So calf comfort, the big ones are cold, how we handle calves. The options around cold calves is obviously straw, more milk. They're the simple ones. Well, straw is not simple anymore. More milk and jackets. Jackets are really effective. Heat stress then is ventilation. Ventilation is key, and fluids. Okay. All right. Just be aware of handling calves. So if you're a bigger farm and you're training people in to work with calves, gentle handling, be aware of that. It can make a huge difference. Because ultimately, I think the big enemy of us all when we're rearing calves is stress for ourselves and the calves. If stress goes up, disease goes up. Okay, number 4. On to 5. Okay, back again. Space per calf. It's a simple one, but let's talk space. Space. This is a nice, easy one. Okay. So again, it's a real simple concept, but and here are my calves. Terrible drawing. The more calves I have in a space, the more problems I'm going to have. These are funny looking calves. What we want to do is minimize calves overcrowding. 2 meters squared per calf is your minimum. I would actually go a little bit higher because the calves do grow. They get bigger over time to weaning, especially if you're keeping calves in beyond weaning. Space per animal, probably, if I was to pick, where are we? Is this number 5? I think it is. If I was to pick something in an indoor system that is critical, it's space per animal. Now, space comes at a cost. I know that, but it's a great investment. The more space you give, because if I'm a disease, a virus, a pathogen, I'm coming into a crowded space, there's more stress and there's more chance of me circulating easier. Whereas less stress here in a stocked shed. Very important when we look at automatic feeders as well. Here's a tip when you have automatic feeders and a lot of calves. If you have 2 stations and you have 2 pens, you're better off open up the pen. If you are under pressure with numbers, give the whole pen access to the 2 feeders. But space is a huge one. So think about space. It's a long-term investment. On we move. Okay, next is number 6, which is fresh air, which is really a look at housing and ventilation. So calf housing, the environment calves in are important. Let's take a look. 6, fresh air. Okay, well this really covers housing. You could talk about drainage as well. Okay, here in this one. But basically, when we think about a calf house, we think about my calves, the environment they're in is really key. Okay, so when we think about fresh air circulating, what does fresh air do? Whatever directions it's coming at, it keeps things dry. It kills bugs. There's a thing in it called ozone. So, you know, getting some fresh air, it's an Irish thing, but getting some fresh air, a real good thing for your health, apparently. An old pishogue, again, that's an Irish thing. But what fresh air is doing in the shed is keeping things dry. It kills bugs. So when we know we've a problem, and here's a nose, and that is not a good nose. Geez, it looks like something else. Oh wow, this is really, so this is a nose. Ammonia, we don't want to smell ammonia. Okay, that's a problem if we're smelling ammonia. It's a sign of poor fresh air. If we think about particularly respiratory disease, these are the lungs. We don't want ammonia going in, affecting the cilia and damaging the lungs. So fresh air is key to get right, but it's really hard to do. Why? Okay, because in young calves, it don't generate a lot of heat. We can't get the stack effect. So it's a very much, and this is probably the most important thing with fresh air. Fresh air is NB to get right. Use your senses, use your nose, but every farm is different. Okay, you have to be in the farm and look at the location, the shed. Like no 2 sheds and 2 farms are the same, I find, depending on stocking densities, etc. The other thing that's really key to take moisture out of a shed to help with that is drainage. Okay, get that 1 in 20 slope. Okay, that's fresh air. Number 6. Number 7 is a new one. High water quality, really key. Always overlooked. Let's have a look at water quality. Number 7. Really simple. I won't give away too much here because I'm really involved in a really nice project at the moment looking at this, and it's really interesting what we're uncovering. Water quality. Okay, water quality. Water makes up about, 70% of the cell volume of the body, more probably. It's important for rumen function. It's just the critical element. Problem is that we have water coming into a farm at source. We test it, or we don't test it, which is worse. And we've all this pipe work, it circulates through farms, bugs and slime, biofilm. And this is really causing a lot of problems on some farms. Water quality is something, if we really want to refine calf rearing, particularly where you use automatic feeders, automatic calf feeders, ACF. Water is going into these, into pipes, into powder with protein, being heated up. It can be a recipe for disaster. Also, when we're looking at water tanks, header tanks on farm. So I'll talk more about water again because we're doing some really interesting work on this. I've never thought about it before, but both for cows and calves, piglets, horses and ourselves, water quality, but it's really relevant in farms where we've got a lot of pipe work and systems. Water quality needs to be factored in as one of your areas. 8, my personal favourite, absolute game changers, Precision Microbes, Pro and Postbiotic Liquids. 23 years of experience, best products I've ever worked for, best tools I've seen are used in calf rearing, managing expectations, of course, the 30 mils for 30 days, lots more on the website, but have to put them in here as part of my top tips for calves. Number 8, here's the commercial plug. Look at Tommy, big commercial head now. Okay, Precision Microbes. My journey with Precision Microbes will be 4 years this year in August, and it has been amazing. Okay, now bear in mind, Precision Microbes is a tool, but it's curve is here, PM is here. Okay, it's a liquid pro and postbiotic. You've heard me talk about it before. Okay, probiotic, postbiotic. Okay, what's important? It works on farm. Okay, feedback. When you put any products, this is my experience. Okay, first of all, I was very skeptical, but my experience is when you put anything on farm as a tool product, you get feedback. Okay, and you get percentage that are very happy, percentage that are happy, percentage don't know, and percentage unhappy. I have never seen the percentages so high for a product. 70-80% plus are very happy with the product. The percentage of, 70-80% here. The don't knows, yeah, probably about 10-15%, but it's doing something when you dig down into it. The unhappies, don't get that many, but I'll call it 5%. Reality of what this product is doing is, look, I'm not going to go on about it, but the 30 mils per day, as he goes on about it, 30 mils per day per calf, liquid pro and postbiotic, supporting the gut microbiome. We've loads of stuff on the website. Contact us. This is a game changer. It's a tool. You do the other 7 things, you add this in, you're really focusing in on refining calf rearing. It's just, the curve is there, PM is here. Really exciting stuff we're doing with it, and it's just really interesting. So it's a liquid pro and postbiotic. It's the first of its kind, designed to be fed with milk, designed to be given long term to support the gut microbiome, aiding digestion. Here's something, okay, this is really key. If you think about performance, okay, and this is just give you this little equation, okay, we think about nutrition equals output here. And output can be average daily gain, performance, whatever you like, okay? Okay, so we always talk about quality nutrition, milk, feed, water for calves, all really important, key. But they have to absorb the nutrition to get the output via energy, etc. So absorption and the gut microbiome are key. Microbiome and microbes in the gut. So a healthy gut will drive better performance. And one of the things, trial work. Okay, so I've done 10 trial farms. I got different results on every farm. How can you do that? Different results. Why? Because factors are different when we come on farm. We look at stressors and everything like that. But positive. And again, I suppose that's why we highly, I have webinars on kind of the ins and outs of probiotics, but for me, a product working on farm is so powerful, and that's why we have so many farmers, vets talking about our products. I think it's number 8 on calf rearing. So finally, the final tip is yourself. The most important thing is calf rearers. So let's have a look. Okay, final tip is number 9, is you, the farmer, whoever you are, and that could be a girl or a boy, whatever you want to say or whatever, but yourself, probably the biggest driver of calf health is the person, the calf rearer themselves. So education, key, mindset, system that it's easy to work in, help if it's not working, if you don't like calves, don't work as a calf rearer. Would I be a good calf rearer? Good question. Would I be a good calf rearer? No. I'm impatient. Hygiene and detail, I'm not bad. But my impatience and speed, meticulous nature, brain jumping around the place, I don't think I'd be a great calf rearer. So that being said, the most important thing is calf rearer. Look for information, educate yourself, work on your mindset. You're the biggest driver for calf health. A system that's easy to work in. So when I talk about hygiene, making it easy to do and take a little bit of credit. So when you have healthy, happy calves, well done. It is not easy. Calf rearing is not easy, but apply the 9 rules, and I think they're the 9 rules for success. Again, just trying a different way of putting out some information. I'm having a little bit of fun. Here's me having some fun. Give myself a bit of a hairstyle as well. Happy safe farming. Okay, key message from this: have a little bit of fun, try new ways of communicating ideas out. That's all I'm doing here really. Again, they're the 9 things I think to drive calf health. Of course, I'm biased on the microbes, precision microbes, but they're absolute game changer. Colostrum, if it was a product, it would be it's just a phenomenal thing. Colostrum, we're learning more about it. Feeding, calf comfort, hygiene, space, fresh air, water quality, looking after yourself and adding those microbes, 30 ml per calf per day. Game changers in gut health. Thank you for listening.